Do we have a fantasy star on our hands here, George? Here is the question with Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders. A lot of folks went into the fantasy season saying, hey, look, maybe this isn't Anthony Richardson, but it could be the next best thing. I'm here to tell you, I don't know. I'm sort of feeling like Daniels could be better than Anthony Richardson.
I don't know if I'm going to go there yet, all right? But I think he's in the conversation, yeah. What did we hear at draft time? A lot of people wanted a quarterback who could move, right? You don't want the guy who's going to take 5-7 steps and throw the football anymore because you want that additional rushing yards. You know, you get 50, 60 yards, that's a touchdown, right? That's why Josh Allen is so valuable. Lamar Jackson is so valuable, right? You go up and down. Jalen Hurts. You go up and down here. I think Daniels is going to be a good quarterback. I think Washington got their guy, and he can throw the football too. We know McLaurin's a really good wide receiver. It may not be much else there. We'll see what McCaffrey can be. Luke McCaffrey can be there in time. But, you know, I do have hope for him. I think at season's end, he's going to be a quarterback one. It may be a low-end quarterback one, but a quarterback one nonetheless.
Yeah, I was really impressed watching him in that game. All right, now Anthony Richardson, look, he's going to have a big year. He's going to have a big fantasy year. There's no question about it. I don't know about the long-term viability here. And look, give him credit. He hung in there with the Houston Texans. My fear for him, George, is that when you go back and you watch film, if you protect the deep ball against Richardson, he could hurt you with his legs. And that may be where all of his fantasy value is coming from. I cannot see him throwing 2 70-yard bombs like he did again.
That should come in time, right? Practice time. I think he will get better here. I think Richardson is going to be fine. Does need to learn how to avoid hits. All right. Once again, remember that hit from Tua last night? He initiated it. Slide. The rules are made for you not to get hit. Take advantage of them.
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The Princeton players, the hustlers, the people of Bustler, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing. The Twisted Tuesday has begun. Sirius XM Channel 159 and the SportsGrid radio and television networks. We're rolling. We got a full house on the program tonight, and there's a lot of stuff that went down in the world of sports today. And we'll get to that. We'll get you caught up to date, including the college football playoff rankings. But we got action going on right now in the late night hours. Let's start off college basketball. UC Riverside, baby, in the house. We got Riverside and Santa Clara, some West Coast action going on tonight. We already cashed a ticket with the Buffalo Bulls getting 17.5 against the Cats in Burlington, Vermont. I thought Vermont were too heavily favored tonight. We also got a piece of Marquette and the over tonight. We laid 5 with Marquette, and we've got the over in that basketball game. But UC Riverside and Santa Clara, listen, Riverside had been money. One of these teams that only the hardcore degenerates really bet on. You know, nobody really pays attention to UC Riverside games. They're 2-2 straight up, but they're 3-0 against the spread on the season. One of the games not a lined game. Santa Clara just 1-3 ATS and 1-3 straight up on the season as well. Both these teams can score. I like this game to go over the number 151.5, and I like UC Riverside plus the points in this game. Getting 8.5, 9 points. It's been fluttering around those numbers right now. So we're getting ready for tip-off in the Bay Area right now. It's currently 8.5. And I'll tell you what, the total came down to $149.5 right now. So we got 149.5 total. UC Riverside and Santa Clara as the game just tipped off, actually. So it moved a half a point here, a point. Tip-off. This game just tipped off. So we're on Riverside, and we're on the over. Like I said, we laid the points with Marquette. Marquette right now are up 35-28 at the half. Not quite as high scoring as I would like. Marquette up a 7 spot right now. NHL hockey. We got a game coming up here in a couple of minutes. We got games going on right now, and I did jump in on the New York Islanders tonight. I kind of like the Islanders before the game started. I thought it started at like 9:30 Eastern time. And, I had money on the Cavalier game. The Cavalier-Celtic game was an entertaining game. So we're watching the NBA game. And I didn't really like the early card. Nothing jumped off the screen at me in the National Hockey League tonight as far as the early games are concerned. I sort of, I'm like, all right, the Canucks are playing later against the Rangers, so we're going to be on, and obviously we're going to bet that game. And the other one game that caught my eye was, you know what, I think the Islanders will beat the Flames tonight. But I didn't pull the trigger before the game started, but it was still scoreless, like after the first period. And I got in with like 3 or 4 minutes left in the first period. It was still scoreless. I got the Islanders minus 115, 1-0 Islanders right now, early in the second period of play. As far as the Rangers and the Canucks are concerned, listen, we've talked a lot about the Vancouver Canucks and their home woes, so to speak. The Canucks are not a good home team this year, which is strange because they normally have been. They were a very, very good home team last year. And obviously the Canucks, the Canucks were one of the best teams in the National Hockey League last year. In fact, I think they had the third best record, actually, in the league. This year, I knew that this year was going to be tougher. So, they're sort of like the Houston Texans. Now you got a target on your back. People kind of slept on Vancouver before. They don't sleep on Vancouver anymore. And Vancouver had just sort of a lot of problems to start the season. And now they have another problem to deal with. One of their best players is out. JT Miller. JT Miller's taking a leave of absence from the Vancouver Canucks. We can tell you what they are saying reports are in Vancouver. Rick Dhaliwal, who is pretty connected to the Vancouver Canucks, he's not like a flamboyant looking for clickbait news, but he normally is pretty in touch with what's going on with the organization. And the reports are that JT Miller's absence is not an alcohol or a substance abuse problem. Because really, for the most part, and some things should remain personal. It is what it is. We don't have to know everything about everybody all the time, but, people want to know, and they get that. So they basically let it be known, like through, they leaked it basically to trusted media types that they said, yeah, it's not an alcohol or a drug problem. They said he needs a reset. Now, I don't know if, what's going on in his personal life, and I don't know, but I don't think he'll be out for that long, but I guess he sort of felt that he couldn't give everything that he needed to give to the team and to his teammates when he was playing right now, which, I actually respect it. I know some old school people will be like, oh, man, all this leave of absence stuff. And it's the second dude on the Canucks that's taking a leave of absence this year. And a lot of times it is substance. A lot of times it's drinking. There's not as much of an alcohol problem in the National Hockey League as there used to be, but there's still like heavy alcohol use in the National Hockey League. More so with the coaches. Like the coaches, like it's, you know what I mean? And in fact, Montgomery got fired today in Boston. And remember, he was the coach in Dallas, and they let him go because he had an alcohol problem, right? So, but he didn't get let go of this because of Boston. They weren't winning enough, which we can get into that tonight, which I find pretty crazy. You just fired a coach who was like .715. That's his winning percentage with the Boston Bruins. Like, wow. This guy's won like 70% of the games, and he's 71% of the games that he's coached in. And you just fired him like after 3 years or whatever because a little bit of a 500 type of start. But clearly they felt that he lost the room and that he was losing the room. And if you recall, actually going back to last year in the playoffs, you could tell like there's sort of a code in the NHL. Like as soon as you start publicly ripping your players, if you're a coach, you're done. You can get away with it in like the NFL if you're like you're Andy Reid or something. And coaches don't normally do it. But remember Montgomery started to sort of call people out like publicly a lot, right? Just the effort, this and that. And once you do that, it's hard to get the guys back in the room. So Montgomery's out. We'll break that down. Andrew McInnes is going to step up, and then we'll get McInnes' picks on the Rangers and the Canucks game. So as I was saying, the Canucks, they've got problems, man. So now JT Miller is out. It's been one thing after another as far as injuries and leave of absences for the Canucks. But with all that being stated, they're still in the mix right now. They're technically not in a playoff spot, right? Well, they are in a playoff spot, but they're not in the top 3 in the division right now. But they do have a bunch of games in hand, and they're right there. Their problem is the Vancouver Canucks are 6-1 on the road. All right, so they're a dominant road team. They're 6-1 at home. They're 3-4-3. They're coming off a game. They played over the weekend twice. Grey Cup weekend in Vancouver. They won on Saturday, then they lost on Sunday. They lost to the Nashville Predators. A little bit of revenge. They beat the Predators in the playoffs last year. So the Preds get a little bit of revenge. The Canucks are pretty good at bouncing back after losses. They don't generally lose 2 in a row, and they haven't been good at home, and now they're plus 125 tonight against the visiting New York Rangers. We'll take a shot with the Vancouver Canucks in a bounce-back spot tonight at getting plus 125 with still one of the better teams in the National Hockey League. They played 17 games. They're 9-5-3 on the season, and they really have had a ton of issues to deal with. So it's one of these deals where if you're a Vancouver Canuck fan, I wouldn't be overly concerned, even though Canuck fans don't believe in that term. Canuck fans are concerned all the time about everything. They really do panic, this fan base. I get it. They've never won before. And it hasn't taken long. The Vancouver Canucks have already scored. Wow. And we've been talking a lot about how the Canucks the Canucks always give up the first goal of the game. Wow, they've already scored on the New York Rangers, 1-0, 2 minutes into the game. And I'll tell you what, the Rangers were plus, the Rangers are favorite. The Canucks were plus 125. They're minus 155 right now. Not bad, getting them up 1-0. Let's roll. This is Sports Rage.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people. What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency, the Pistol Players, the Hustlers, the people of Buster, but everybody else in between. So, my apologies. As I was saying, I like the Vancouver Canucks. The Vancouver Canucks score a goal tonight, which is rare for them. They don't score the first goal of the game often. In fact, they gave up the first goal in 9 consecutive games. I think they scored the first goal the other night, actually, on Saturday, and they won, and then they didn't score. They were down to Nashville. They lost. They've been really, really slow starters. Now, there was also the news of JT Miller, who's kind of like the heart and soul of the team, to be honest. Like the Canucks have a lot of good players, but like in the room, they really look up to JT Miller. Like he's kind of Hughes is the captain, but JT Miller's the guy. Like Miller, when they're not doing well, he talks. Like Miller's the one that was the practical joker in the playoffs to break the nerves after losses and stuff like that. And so they all love him to death, this guy. And JT Miller loves the city of Vancouver to death. His kids were born in Vancouver. And so it's very emotional, but JT Miller had to take a leave of absence due to personal reasons. And as I stated, it's not alcohol or substance abuse issues or anything like that, which often is when you hear this in the NHL, but it's not. They basically said he's just sort of burnt out, and I don't know what's going on in his personal life, right? Some things, we don't need to know. All we need to know is it's not drugs, not alcohol, and it won't be long, but they basically said he needs time to reset. He just needs a little bit of time off right now, which, like old school, it would be like, dude, you got to suck it up. Let's just call it up for what it is. In the old days, the old Don Cherry, like, you know what I mean? The old, like, 70s, 80s, 60s, whatever. 60s, you wouldn't tell anybody if you got shot on the way to the arena. No, I didn't get shot. I'm good. Like, I'm good. No, I'm good. I can play, coach. I put me in.
Just patch me up.
No, it's true. It's true. The old days was like, dude, like, unless you're on crutches, like, you got to play and just suck it up. Like, I know it's tough, but here's some drugs. That's the way it was. Here's some pills. Here's some drugs. And we don't care what drugs you do after the game in your hotel room, but you need to play. But I respect if you can't give all your to the team and your mind is elsewhere. This is professional sports. It's a high level. You could get hurt. You could get someone else hurt. There's a lot at stake here. So I don't have a problem with him stepping back and getting recharged. I wish him the best. But they actually surprised everybody and scored first. I'll ask you, McInnes, what did you think about this game? But it hasn't taken long. There's been 2 goals. The Rangers have just tied the hockey game. 1-1, 2 early goals. In Vancouver. Who did you like tonight?
I waited to get the best number I possibly could. Then I took the Canucks at the plus money. So Gabe, I'm right there with you on that one. And I also had Philip Roenick to get a point, and he got the assist. Plus 190 on Quinn Hughes' opening goal 30 seconds in. So it's off to a pretty good start. And we got Elias Pettersson over 2.5 shots on goal. Not just Miller, guys. Brock Besser's out. So you put those two guys together. But you guys know the sport world is crazy. Handicapping, all this stuff is nuts, okay? They're going to go on a roll without these guys for a game or two, the same way the Bruins are going to go on a roll after firing their coach. It all doesn't make sense, but it's like kind of a mental warfare. You rally around things. You rally around losing your coach. You rally around your top guy. And the funny thing is, on my show earlier today, I was hyping up JT Miller, saying the guy got benched for 7 minutes last game, going to have a great game, going to give it his all. And then when I heard that news, I thought to myself, should I still play this? But, man, you got to think to yourself, you look at this roster, you look at the Rangers roster, obviously on paper, matchup right now, the Rangers have the edge, but I think this is a really good spot. 3rd game in 4 nights, but the Vancouver Canucks have not looked good. I feel good about them tonight.
They're usually good at bouncing back. What was your pick? I took the Canucks as well before the game started.
Yeah, I don't tweet very often, but I took the Canucks as well, and for all the reasons McInnes said. I like the guys to rally around. Hockey's one of those sports when your big boys are out, everybody else steps up like a family. I think they're going to win this game tonight, and I took them again when the Rangers scored at a plus price. I'm on Vancouver. I'm on the Islanders tonight as well. I think the Islanders take care of Calgary. They're up 1-0.
I'm on the Islanders as well. It was 0-0. I figured, you know what? This is. I sort of think the Flames are a team to start to fade a bit, but you said it, McInnes. Oftentimes you look at the Leafs. They're winning without Austin Matthews. It gives the other guys a chance to step up and show what they can do. Oftentimes it can bring a room together, but there's different circumstances when there's injuries or this and that. And as you stated, if there's ever a game here tonight, McInnes, even though they're shorthanded, and that's why they were plus 125, even though they're shorthanded, they love Miller to death, right? So if there's ever like that first game here, if there's ever a game they're going to step up and want to win, it's going to, let's get this done for JT here. Plus, they played very poorly on Sunday night as well. But they've had a problem at home this year. Like, they've had a problem at home. I don't know if it's overconfidence. I don't know. Like Rick Tocchet, he's a very interesting coach to see his press conferences because he's pretty honest. He doesn't have an explanation either. Like he basically said, guys, like he gave the cliche, if I knew, we'd be better. And he's trying it all. Like, what I mean? Let's take the morning off. Let's work harder. he's trying to push all the buttons and get this thing going. But at the same point in time, they have a lot of external stuff going on in this team. You know, don't forget, Thatcher Demko hasn't played. They've got like two pretty much backup goalies playing as their starters. And all things considered, they're not that bad. They just don't win at home, right? They're 6-1 on the road. They're 3-4-3 at home. Like, they just got to – it'll be fine. The Canucks are going to be fine in the big picture, and Demko will eventually be back. Like, I didn't think he would – they said November. I was like, yeah, you know what? Let's look at January. Let's just be more realistic with this, right? Don't rush them back.
Hockey's one of those sports, too. You play a simpler game on the road. It's just one of those things that you do. We've all played the game before. You want to take their crowd out of it early. You just wait for them to make a mistake. It's almost like a tennis match where this guy, you just keep on putting it and play it. Eventually he hits the net because he's so frustrated. That's what you do to teams on the road because they're trying to be heroes in front of their fans. Vancouver will figure it out at home, Gabe, and you're right. It's not really right. They have a goaltending situation where Demko's one of the best in the league when healthy, and they got to ride these other guys. So Vancouver will be fine. Soon they're going to go on a heater when everybody comes back and they get their top goaltender back.
You know what they're being? It's not really that they try to put on a show at home. They're kind of being exposed a little bit early. And they know it, though. It's an issue. And McInnes, I don't know how much of a metric guy you are, the analytics and all that, but the Canucks are not a very good transition team. And they're getting beat a lot in transition. In open ice, they're getting beat a lot. Like, just point blank. And they don't score a lot of quick sort of out of the zone type of goals. Most of the Canuck goals come when they cycle the puck and they set up these one-timers and stuff. They got to get flowing a little bit more.
Together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, it's going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you. Pinching your own cheek? As I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. Andrew McInnes in the house with us right now. Cam Stewart. We got Joey Tron going to join us later. Our boy Rick Saratella, who is in Vancouver for the Grey Cup. And Rick's already hooked. It's all it took was one Grey Cup. And he's locked and loaded, already looking forward to next year in Winnipeg. And considering our boy Hustler is going to be in the host city next year, I think we actually will go to Winnipeg. And I've never been to Winnipeg before. I've been to almost every city in Canada, but I've never been to Winnipeg before, and I've never been to Regina before. Those are the only two CFL cities I've never been to. Actually, you know what? Have I been to Edmonton? No, I've never been to Edmonton either. Wow. I've never been to Edmonton. I've never been to Winnipeg, and I've never been to Regina. I've been to Calgary before, but I've never been to Winnipeg before. Never really had a legitimate reason to go, to be honest.
This guy. Winnipeg can get stabby sometimes at night.
No, it's not that. It's I don't know. It's like Canada's Iowa or something. Like, you know what I mean? Not really like I've never been in a hurry. Like, yeah, you know what? I gotta go on vacation to Winnipeg. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's never crossed my mind.
In the summer, it's nice though, Gabe. They got lakes and trees. It's not like, but you're already in BC.
Everyone has lakes and trees, bro. Like, there's lakes and trees everywhere. Hey, I'm not saying no. I'm not criticizing. I'm just stating I've never had an inclination to go before. I've thought about it, like a BC Lion. Once there was a playoff game, a bunch of Lion fans were saying they were going to go, and I should go down with them. But Grey Cup, I'll go. It'll be a great time at a Grey Cup. God knows only who will be playing. And McKinnis, your thoughts on the Grey Cup as the Toronto Argonauts not only cover, they win the game outright.
You got to love it. I mean, you got to love it. My thoughts are, for anybody out there getting into betting on the CFL, if you're finding yourself betting on a Grey Cup and you see a double-digit underdog, take that team and don't just take them to cover, take them to win. It's really important to look at some of this stuff. That's the fact that it's an injured player, injured quarterback. And again, I'll repeat it, the fact that they gave almost 7 points on the opening line difference between Chad Kelly and Nick Arbuckle. They were talking about Arbuckle like he was an 8-year-old quarterback. I don't understand. Maybe an 80-year-old quarterback. The TSN coverage was treating him so poorly to start he did a great job, managed the game well. Kadeem Carey played well. The turnovers were managed well. I thought the Argos had a great performance. And you know, the whole thing about the whole dynasty thing for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, I don't care if you get to the dance. If you don't come home with the girl, all you did was go out dancing. And that's what this Winnipeg team is doing right now. They're just going to the dance. They're not really being successful once they get there.
No, you know what? It's been a nice run. It is. You made it 5 championships, but they've lost 3 in a row right now. I wasn't going to take the Argos on the money line. I was riding with the Argos plus the points throughout the week. I like the over. But the Argo money line was a late push for me. And that's, you know what? It was just due to the fact that I was actually at the game that helped. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known. You know what I mean? Like, I was running into people like there were, you know, it's everybody's around. And there were a lot of people at the sports bar before. Like, there were scouts and executives from CFL teams. Hell, G. Roy Simon was watching NFL games earlier in the day. Like, so there was a lot of buzz around it. I spoke to people, and everyone told me the same thing. They said, Winnipeg are very uptight. They said, man, I spoke to O'Shea, and he seems uptight, or Zach Calero seems nervous. And then I heard the story about how they'd never had a curfew before, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, in their 4 previous championships. Never had a curfew all year. Suddenly they had a curfew. What is Vancouver, Las Vegas? Like, dude, it rains all the time. Where are they going? Like, you know what I mean? So I don't know what they really did a curfew for. It's like, all right, I guess they go to the casino all night or whatever, but like, and I got there early enough. I got there, I got into my seat like 25 minutes before kickoff, and they were on the field before they left and came back on. And I could just point blank tell. Like, you could just see the Argos. It was like, man, the Argos are going to win. It was one of those before the game. The Argos were all dancing to the music in the stadium and smiling, and they were really locked in. They all did a prayer together. They were really locked in as a unit. And the Winnipeg players were all sort of standing alone, like kind of looking nervous. It just sort of, they didn't look like they were ready to go. It was the weird vibe. You can get sometimes it'll backfire though, right? It's hard to read, body language correctly all the time. But I started to do the math, and I was like, I got to get more bets in. I'm sitting there in my seat. I'm like, Argos.
Okay, what about Buck Pierce, though? What about Buck Pierce, the OC for Winnipeg? Like, every time I watch a Winnipeg game during the season and I'm not really happy, I'm like, what are these plays he's calling? What are these deep balls that are so unnecessary?
True.
On the other side, the Argos play calling is always really good. It's perfect almost.
together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma will do to you when he goes here on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency, the pitch, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust them, and everybody else in between. We had a triple header tonight in the MAC. So we got midweek football going on. We didn't get to college football playoff ranking talk yet, but whatever. Everybody gets all 4, 5, 6. Let's just play the damn games, and the bracket changes all the time. But we'll get you caught up to date. So Kent State are terrible. We know this. They haven't won a game. They're 0-11 on the season. They were getting 10 points tonight, 10.5 points. It's tough to trust the Akron Zips laying that on the road. I just bet the over 49. The total was 49. I only bet the over in a game. 38-17 final score. So the game goes over the number. We cash the ticket. That's the good news. Bad news is, hate laying points, but we laid the points with Western Michigan. Normally I'd be on Central Michigan, but they're just bad this year. They're not a good football team. I thought that Western Michigan would beat them. I underestimated the rivalry aspect of this. Central Michigan, the Chippewas are up 16-14 right now with like 3 minutes left in the football game, and I'm screwed because I got the over 56 and I got Western Michigan -6, none of which are going to happen, which leads us into Northern Illinois and Miami, Ohio, which is a pretty big game, this game, as far as like the MAC championship and stuff. This was like the game of the night. Miami, Ohio are balling tonight. They're up 17-3 on Northern Illinois. That's the good news. I'm on Miami, Ohio money line, -125. The game was basically a pick 'em. And bad news is I'm on over 43, and Northern Illinois have only scored 3 points. So there's your college football update. NBA basketball, we got a tie game with 6 seconds left. My bad. It's gotten broken open here right now. Now the Nuggets are about to win with a couple of seconds left. It was. Now they're up a 9 spot on Memphis, 119-110. Dallas are murdering New Orleans. The Spurs are winning as like 9.5-point underdogs right now at the half against the visiting Oklahoma City Thunder. That's on TV right now. Utah and the Lakers are about to tip off. I got a couple of college basketball plays in action here. We got Marquette -5. They're up by 7 with 8 minutes left. We got the over, but it's 10 points off the pace. And we're on UC Riverside, +9. They're losing 31-19 right now. We're on the over in this game. What was the over? That 151 or something? 151. It is 147.5 in-game right now. As far as the NHL is concerned, the Jets are about to beat the Panthers at 6-3 with a minute left. The Wild are up on the Blues with 2 minutes left. 3-2. Anaheim and Chicago tied at 2 with 14 minutes left in a hockey game. The Blackhawks are now minus 130, total 5.5. 1-0 for the New York Islanders with 2 minutes left in the second period in Calgary. They're minus 350. The Flames are plus 260. 3.5 is the total. And the Vancouver Canucks and Rangers both scored early goals. Nothing's happened since. 1-1. Still 6 minutes left in the period. In-game total 6.5, but over 6.5. Minus 160. Under 6.5, plus 130. What do you think about the live in-game card right now, McKinnon? Anything catch your eye?
Well, the only bet that I have, I guess I have a couple. Vancouver money line is what I have going right now, as well as Chicago team total over 3.5. So I'm sweating that one out. So, I mean, that's a play you can jump in on. You can take them to win the game. You can take them on the team total, whatever you want to do with that. I still think Chicago's going to come out on top in that one. Anaheim, second half of back-to-back. They've won 3 to last, or they've looked pretty good lately. Chicago hasn't looked very good lately. I think it's a good spot for Chicago. They're going to battle it. I honestly, guys, I would look towards taking the plus 1.5 for Calgary here. I know, Gabe, I couldn't tell if we're on the head-to-head or not. I can't remember if you said Calgary or Islanders, but I think this is going to be a very tight game all the way until the final puck drop. I think no matter who wins this game, it's going to be decided by 1 goal. Third period's going to be very tight. I wouldn't be shocked if this one goes under the live number of 3.5. I can't see this game opening up. I can't see the floodgates opening up. I can see this game staying a very low-scoring game. So I'll look towards that. And, this Rangers and Canucks game, again, we're all on the Canucks here. I wouldn't talk anybody off. And, again, this could be kind of a bold pick, but under 6.5 I'm seeing right now is plus 130. And I know it's a third game in 4 nights for the Canucks, but, guys, look at what they did defensively against Nashville. Look at what they did in the last few games. They need a good defensive performance. I know they allowed that signature first-period goal. Would not shock me to see a lower-scoring Canucks win tonight.
Cam, what's your any in-game thoughts or picks here?
Yeah, I'm going to go put another log on the fire with the Blackhawks. I'm with McInnes. I have them in a parlay, and I think they win the game at minus 130. I disagree. I'm still on the Islanders. I don't want any part of the Flames in that game, and I agree with Andrew again on the under 6.5. On my book, it's under 6.5 plus 130. How do I say no to plus money like that? 6.5 goals. They need 7 in that game. Vancouver's got to tighten it up. I like the under.
I agree with the under. I played it as well. I'm only getting plus 120. They're profiling me. So I'm getting plus 120 under 6.5. But look, you got the first 2 goals early in the game. Nothing's really happened since. Big key to this is if we can get out of this period without giving up a goal, suddenly it'll pop to 5.5 soon. So yeah, the plus price was attractive. So we got Utah. So what's Utah? Utah is getting 10.5 against the Lakers NBA Cup action, and we all know the Lakers are a good NBA Cup team, which they are. I don't know if I want to lay 10.5 with them, but they are a dominant NBA Cup team. Totals 234.5 in this game. I played the Cleveland Cavaliers plus the points. They were down big. They came back and covered. The game went over the number, so we're sitting 2-0 in the NBA. I didn't play any of this late night NBA action. So, McKinnis, you brought up firing the coach in Boston. Montgomery is out, and this is somewhat of an overreaction, in my opinion. If you look at their record, but I think it goes back to last year. It goes back to the playoffs in the last couple of years, and I brought it up earlier. If you remember last year, Montgomery started to call players out by name publicly, and once you do that, there's no turning back. Right, you can do that with a young team and stuff when the inexperienced players have to take it, but you're calling out a bunch of veterans. You're going to lose the room when you do that. I noticed he started to do this for the last 2 years. It wasn't we; it turned into they. They need to do this, and they're not doing that. And he just he was, oh God, that's terrible. We just got in on it. Rangers take a 2-1 lead.
Great,
wow,
just like that. Rangers score 2-1, 5:22 left in the period. So Boston, you know what? He's got a .715 winning percentage, this guy. And he won the Coach of the Year in 2022, 2023. And remember, guys, I said a couple of minutes ago, the Canucks get burnt in transition all the time. Look at that goal. Transition. It's a problem, which I don't understand.
You know what it is,
they're flat-footed, bro. They're not. The angles, they're literally flat-footed at mid-ice all the time. I just said they know they have a problem in transition. That's the definition of it. Like, that can't happen. He was untouched, and it led to a breakaway. That's like the ultimate bad transition D right there, McKinnon. It's terrible.
Look who scored the first goal of the game, right? Quinn Hughes, captain of the team, assisted by Philip Roenick, right? What does that do? It gives the defenseman confidence. Well, I can be a forward too. I can jump into the rush too. If you're getting caught off the rush, it kind of a lot of the time means that your defensemen are out of position. I understand forwards can back check as well, but if your defensemen are constantly trying to jump into the rush, typically it's going to work backwards on you. And right now, as a Canadiens fan, I'm dealing with that with Lane Hudson, who's going to be a hell of a player, guys. He's a great guy, young player, but he's got to realize when to jump up and when to sit back. And the Canucks right now playing subpar hockey, they can't be activating every single time. If you're saying they're getting caught that way, Gabe, it probably means it's a lot of times defensemen getting caught up. Yep. And if you guys forwards can't skate backwards. I'm sorry, you might be a professional player, but forwards skating backwards is a lot different than a defenseman doing it.
Yeah. Also, Gabe, to your point about the Boston Bruins, Jeremy Swayman has let in 12 goals in his last 2 games. His save percentage is .880, okay? This is a guy that was working out a contract for the team. That's not on Montgomery. These guys play no defense, and Swayman used to stand on his head. I'm with you. It's an overreaction. They should have got the deal done. They don't have a damn backup goalie. That's on Boston.
No, without a doubt. And they rushed him back. He started playing very, very quickly. Yeah, like I said, it goes back to last year. I think they just thought this guy's losing the room right now. But listen, he's going to get hired.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the 2 big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Quarterly, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. The Twisted Tuesday continues. Rick Saratella will step up and in a little bit later on. Joey Tron will join us as well. 17-3 Miami, Ohio still. Yet Northern Illinois are knocking on the door right now, and they need points. They need, they're down 2 touchdowns. They're running out of time. 12 minutes left in a football game. So it appears like it's about to be 17-10 there. 2-1 for the New York Rangers, 2.5 left in the first period of play. In Vancouver in the late-night hockey game. And as I say that, the Vancouver Canucks have just tied the hockey game.
How's our total doing? It's going
There
right
goes-
down the toilet.
There goes the 6.5. It's now 8.5.
I'll be honest.
Hey, at least the Canucks were the team that scored, Gabe, or else I'd be like going more red than I am now. 2-2, we'll deal with it.
Yeah.
Maybe what in a 2-2 game, things get weird in hockey, though. You don't want to give up a crappy thing.
Like and a transition goal. They got a transition goal, like on the rush. That's something they don't do often.
Hey, come on, Vancouver, tighten up. And you guys just slow down a bit here. Just slow down on the goals. Come on, let the Canucks win under 6.5. Let's go.
Let's see. It was Sherwood. Sherwood sticks.
Kiefer Sherwood.
Love Sherwood.
Kiefer Sherwood.
Sherwood's the best. Featherlight, my favorite stick. Don't make them like that anymore. They bend it. Like, those new sticks suck.
Oh, man. That actually makes me mad because you know what? A smart prop better would have probably had some action on him tonight because Besser out of the lineup.
Miller's out, Besser's out. Good point. Someone's got to step up, get some more ice time.
Yeah, geez, man. And he's a hard worker. I like him quite a bit. You know, one thing I was going to say earlier, guys, but we switched to different sports. I'm a big believer in the fact that when you play a good team, like the Rangers are obviously a great team, you don't see the Rangers very often, right? Look at the schedule that the Canucks have had lately. Like, I mean, we take a look at the Nashville Predators. They're a good team, but they haven't been great. The Hawks, they're the Hawks. You know, the Flames are the Flames. The Kings, the Sharks. Sometimes a team that's being inconsistent, you almost need a really good team to come into town. You almost need that. Like, I mean, a lot of teams have that mental work.
It is.
If you look at the Canucks, they actually beat the Panthers. Like, they're going on the East Coast, and I get it that they need. You know what? They were kind of embarrassed though. Like, it hasn't. They're 3-4-3 at home. You know, there was sort of this is a desperate spot for them almost tonight. They need to stop the bleeding a little bit to just feel a little bit better about themselves. They're not living up to expectations right now either, but they're dealing with a lot of injuries and circumstances off the ice. Northern Illinois.
Gabe, let's give McInnes credit, too. He said the surprise team of the league would be the Washington Capitals. Who the hell would have thought a guy like Ovechkin, at his age, he's leading the damn league in goals? This team doesn't lose on, even in spots where on long road trips and stuff. They've been crazy. The Washington Capitals are amazing. Good call by you, McInnes. I didn't see that one coming, but great, very good prediction early. They look very good. Sorry, Gabe. Continue with the football.
Big Northern Illinois scores the touchdown. But, Washington Capitals, great start to the season. They had a nice offseason, though, the Capitals, right? They didn't want to just fade off into oblivion, which they kind of were. And it just became about Ovechkin and Ovechkin getting getting the record and stuff. But they didn't really rest on their laurel. Like, they didn't really say, okay, whatever, we'll just ride this out, let Ovechkin get the record, and then we'll move on. While some teams, put it this way, guys. Look at the Pittsburgh Penguins and look at the Capitals. Okay, the Penguins had a little bit more success. Crosby got a couple more cups, but they both came into the league at the same time, and look where their teams are now. I saw Pierre LeBrun talking about this. Like, the Penguins are in nowhere's land. Meanwhile, the Capitals have done a pretty good job of developing young players still for the future, and then they also brought in a bunch of players, right? Which they didn't get credit for at the time. Kind of players that have been around, Pierre-Luc Dubois, right? Like, they brought in veteran, you know what I mean, McKay? Veteran guys, man, that have been around. Chikrin, Jacob Chikrin's a good player,
that
bro.
guy's so,
they bring in
so
Pierre-Luc Dubois, who suddenly fits in with these capital Russian guys. Now the goaltending, you talk about, you bring in a guy like Jacob Chikrin, who's a big-time player. They actually they're not just kids. They have vets on this team that are pretty good hockey players.
This Protas guy has more goals in 18 games than he had in 78 last year. He had 6. He's got 7. Alexei Protas, the guy's a very good young player. Listen to this too. Strome, plus 18. Ovechkin, plus 15. When has he been a plus 15 in his career? McMichael, plus 10. Protas, plus 12. Carlson, plus 14. Rasmus Sandin, the Leafs old defenseman, plus 15. All these guys are plus players. It's unbelievable, man.
And guys, a guy that scored a game winner tonight in college hockey for Boston College in NCAA Division I, Ryan Leonard. He'll be playing next year for the Washington Capitals. Gabe mentioned it, between the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Washington Capitals. And for my friends and I here in the Far East Coast that are diehard Crosby fans, we hate seeing Ovechkin's teams do that much better. And they've got the prospects. Not only are they doing better now, You hit it right on the head, Gabe. They have the prospects, and you should see this guy, Ryan Leonard. And the big thing about the college players versus the CHL players, I'll say, they're more patient. The guys playing in the CHL, whether it's in the WHL, Q, wherever, they're in a rush to go pro. The college guys, they're kicking back. They love that college life. They're the man on campus, and they're developing. And this guy, Ryan Leonard, is going to be unbelievable for the Capitals.
Yeah, you know what? I was thinking about betting that game. I didn't because I got enraptured by the Celtics and the Cavs game tonight. Really fun basketball game, and it just sort of flew by. But I noticed, McKinnis, that hockey game was on TV tonight. I don't know if you bet it. We got to start betting more NCAA hockey. I was thinking about getting in on the game, but at the same point in time, I was a little bit angry, too. Normally, they show the football. Like, you know what I mean? TSN often will show a MAC game. Like, they'll normally show one of the three of the MAC games. But they have a deal with the NCAA. They can kind of do whatever they want to do, TSN. So I noticed McKinnis. I'm like, son of a bitch, they're going with hockey. Now they've crushed the MAC for NCAA hockey. The ratings must be better for it, right? I'm like, oh. And I see, I'm like, where are the MAC games? And I see it's on TSN Plus. I'm like, oh, TSN Plus, you want me to pay for extra for that? And I'm like, man, you guys always showed the NCAA football game, and now you're showing the hockey in its place. And it's all ratings. I guess they really like, besides a couple of degenerate bettors, who the hell's watching a Miami-Ohio game on TSN? So I guess they figure, let's get all these NFL, NHL draft picks on NCAA hockey on TV. But whatever, I got to start betting a little bit more often.
That's the best. Mr. Morency here. I want TSN Plus so I can watch college.
It's like when I asked the president of the score, why do you put curling on so much? He showed me the ratings. I said, oh.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I'm Morency. So we're 2-2 at the end of the first period. It should be noted, Northern Illinois didn't get the extra point. So it's 17-9 with 9 minutes left. 17-9 with 9 minutes left. Miami, Ohio up on Northern Illinois. Santa Clara are beating up on Riverside. I'm on Riverside +9 and over 151. It's 43-21 at the half. Ugh. So I'm down by 22 in-game total, 144.5. We are on Marquette -5. They're up by 13 with 3 minutes. That's good. But I'm on the over that game, so I'm only going to get a split there. But it is what it is. Just battle and try to have more money at the end of the night than we started with, which I think we should. We were doing really well. We'll see what happens. All right, we only got a couple more minutes with McKinnis here. Let's get into some NFL football. And we got a lot of fun, mostly all football talk for the rest of the show, actually, coming up here. Rick Saratella and Joey Tron stepping up. And then McKinnis, I don't know how deeply you've dug into the NFL card this week. Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns in a Thursday night game. The Steelers are smoking hot right now since Russell Wilson's taken over. Minus 3.5-point favorites against Cleveland. Totals 36.5. That's the Thursday nighter. And massive game for your Green Bay Packers. Listen, the Packers aren't going to win a division, so it's about the wild card, and you got a desperate San Francisco 49er team. You guys can pretty much put a nail in these guys, right? I'm not going to say the final nail, but the Niners are on the ropes right now, bro, and you guys could knock them out if you could win this game. What do you think? You're a Packer fan. They're 2.5-point favorites against the Niners in Green Bay.
Well, you know what? I think that I'm happy they got the win. Forget about the cover last week. I'm happy they got the win, and that's exactly how I feel about this game coming up. I feel like they're going to get the job done. They're going to win this game at home, and that means they're going to cover the minus 2.5 we're seeing here. But I like the under 47.5. You know, in some of the games they've struggled, some of the games that have been tight involving the Packers lately, it's been still low scoring. Their defense has been respectable. I want them to run the ball a lot more, take care of things, have longer drives, hold on to possession, and they can get the job done at home over the Niners. But under is probably my stronger play. I do like the Packers. And Gabe, that Thursday night game, everything tells us we should play the dog. A lot of situations, the numbers here, letdowns, everything. Forget about that. You know what I mean? The underdog right now, what is it? 1-4 straight up at home. I don't want to play this team. I'm going to lay the number. It's a short number. Give me the Steelers. Look, they've had back-to-back really good weeks. You know, not just covering, but getting the job done, this Steelers team. I think that people are going to say this is a really good spot situationally. All these handicapping turns we can throw out of the window. I still think the Steelers are going to get the job done. Look at some of these teams that are leading the league in ATS covers, right? It's not great teams, not exciting teams, not teams that light the lamp every night. Light the lamp, that go crazy. Give me the Steelers as one of my favorite picks of the week. I don't usually have best bets to start the week off, but I love that play on Thursday.
Well, it's hard to trust the Cleveland Browns. I'll tell you that. You'll feel as stupid as I did after taking the Tennessee Titans this week, taking the Browns. You know what's crazy, as McKinnis just mentioned, the best teams against the spread in the National Football League, the top two teams, 80% cover rate, the Detroit Lions and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Detroit are 8-2 against the spread. Pittsburgh are 8-2 against the spread. You know what's funny? This is pretty crazy that Indianapolis are 8-3 against the spread. And if you take away Joe Flacco's last two pathetic games, they put Richardson back in and they win. Flacco screwed their numbers over a bit. Denver are 8-3. Like you said, McKinney, kind of surprising teams. Minnesota 7-3, but they were 5-0 at one point against the spread. The Chargers, Harbaugh's been a covering machine, 7-3. Worst team against the spread in the National Football League, the Tennessee Titans at 1-9. And guys, the Tennessee Titans find themselves in historically grim territory, as I saw a report today, with a dismal 1-9 record against the spread. They hold the league's worst mark this year and one of the worst 5 starts in the history of the National Football League. They're the worst team. 1-9 is the worst since the 2007 Baltimore Ravens and 1991 Cincinnati.
8.5 points this week, Morency versus Houston. You know me. I've had enough punishment. Sorry, McKinnis.
I just told you. They're the worst team covering in the NFL since 2007. Kevin.
I know, Gabe. I know. And I'm going to probably be on Cleveland and never, do good spot, whatever.
No. I'm with McKinnis. Like, there's nothing to overthink here. Pittsburgh go in there and roll Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm on Cleveland, but that's my own problem.
What do you guys think about the Miami game? I'm curious what you guys think about the Miami game this week, because a lot of points. The Patriots always find a way to cover. They seem like they're hanging around. They're kind of a boring under team, but I don't know. I'm kind of tempted to take Miami first half, and then we probably see a backdoor cover with some strange way by New England here.
What about the Panthers, Cam? You going to take the Panthers plus 11 against the Chiefs?
I thought about it out of spite, and I might come back against the Chiefs this week, but I'm not allowed to bet the Panthers anymore. What a point.
I don't trust the Dolphins, though, McKinnis. Lay the 7.
together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you. You pinching your own cheek? As I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma will do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. The pitch, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust them, and everybody else in between. We're already in a level 2. Rick Saratella will join us a little bit later on. And, of course, Rick, founder of the NFL Draft Bible. And we'll talk about the NFL Draft odds. Shedeur Sanders is the favorite right now, plus 200 to be the top pick of the draft. And remember, I told you guys like 6 weeks ago when Quinn Ewers and Carson Beck were the favorites to be the top pick that was insanity. That neither of them will be the top pick in the NFL draft. And I think the odds makers sort of got it right now. But the thing is, the Jags would have the top pick in the draft, and they already have a quarterback. So then you get into, all right, are they going to trade the pick, and or do they just take Travis Hunter? And there's a reason why Travis Hunter is the second choice right now in the sports books to be the number one pick in the NFL draft. So we'll get into that and more with Rick Saratella. Let's bring in Joey Trott right now. Joey, welcome to the Rage. Let's do this thing. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, thank you. Thanks for having me. How you guys doing?
We're doing all right. We're just tracking a late night action. It's sort of some good news, some bad news. Always tricky, Joey. When you bet on these MAC games, bro, and there's 3 of them, it's Russian roulette. You know what I mean? Let's be real. With the MAC, I always just hope not to get killed when I bet all the MAC games. And it's sort of good news, bad news. I bet the over the Akron game. We get the win. I bet the over the Western Michigan, Central Michigan game. We don't get the win. I laid the points with Western Michigan. And here I am now on Miami, Ohio money line. But I also have the over 43 in this game. So it looks like I could just get a split here potentially. 6.5 left. Although, who knows, maybe Northern Illinois ties this game. It gets crazy. Any action for you on this NIU-Miami game?
Me personally, nothing. But similar to you, I like Miami. I didn't pull the trigger. I said off. But in this case, I'm pulling for Miami for you.
Any basketball? We got 2 NBA games. Somewhat of a surprise, guys. The Spurs are up a 10 spot on the Oklahoma City Thunder.
I was on the Nets earlier today. I laid the 2.5. I should have just went with the money line. I really thought they had it. They had a slow first half. Really kicked it up in the second half. That was unfortunate that they failed there. They only won by 1. There's nothing for me on the NBA late night action.
Marquette just won 76-58 over Purdue.
Abe,
so
you said it.
We get the win.
But
I laid
Lakers?
5, but I played the over.
These guys are
Yeah,
unreal in
Lakers.
these tournaments. I look at them already. Like, it's early, but they're like smashing Utah already. Like, they're going to, what are they up? Like 17 points already? Like, they're just
No,
crushing
13. Yeah, 31-18.
Oh,
I haven't seen,
31-18.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess they probably
It's
is.
great.
I haven't seen them. I haven't looked, but NBA Cup futures, we should just bet the Lakers, Cam. They're watch, like, they got mocked for winning it last year. Watch them win it again this year. And they'll be like back-to-back NBA Cup
You're
champions.
so right. Yes, they love these tournaments in the NBA. The Lakers always show
They'll
up.
hang another little mini banner.
Exactly.
I was going to say they'll need a new banner if they win this year.
Yeah. Everybody got mad at them for that, but I didn't really have a problem with it. Because you know why, guys? It wasn't as big, Joey. You know what I mean? Like, if they would have put up, like, a big one next to their title ones, but it wasn't. I liked how it was just sort of a mini one.
Yeah.
It's like a little mini NBA Cup. It's like, no.
Yeah.
We're not, we're going to put it up there. I don't have a problem with it, Cam. Hell, if
it's
the
like a
Raptors
plaque
won the
instead of a
NBA Cup,
giant
I'd say
trophy.
hang the damn banner like a big trophy. I'd be like, I want a large size one next to our title one. Like, I'm not going to get mad at them for it.
I agree. Hey, you won the tournament. You deserve something. Just make it smaller and less, like with less flair than the banner. But I got no problem with it either. You still got to win the damn tournament. So I'm with you, Morency. These guys, Lakers, can be dangerous again. They always are.
Yeah, NBA Cup demons. These guys. That's what they are. They're gunning for history, undefeated in the NBA Cup. All kidding aside, though, it's cool that they have the games in Vegas and stuff like that. If I was in Vegas, I would go to the games, bet on the games, and have a good time. Santa Clara is murdering UC Riverside. UC Riverside were 3-0 ATS, getting 9.5, but they're getting smoked right now, 55-28. Good news is, though, the total's getting there. It's 150.5 right now because Santa Clara is scoring so much. And then tomorrow night, more MAC football tomorrow night, guys. Buffalo, Eastern Washington. So, God, we're getting the glamour games tomorrow. The Buffalo Bulls at Eastern Washington. They had Ohio at Toledo. Joey, any thoughts on tomorrow's MAC games?
Yeah, so I kind of like a spot in both of those games. So in the Eastern Michigan game against Buffalo, I like Eastern Michigan to win there. I really do. They have a much better defense, and in my opinion, with the MAC, that really goes a long way. Eastern Michigan's allowing 27 points per game on the season, but on the last 5, they've definitely allowed a little bit more than that. However, 2 of those last 3 games they played were against teams with a 7-3 record. So I truly think playing a more experienced teams in the MAC, much better teams in the MAC, is going to come in handy for them. They need just one more win to get bowl eligible. They're averaging 7.2 yards per pass, and Eastern Michigan is allowing roughly around the same exact thing. So I really think there's a huge advantage here over the air for Eastern Michigan. They're 7-3 at home dating back to last season straight up, and Buffalo is 2-6 after a home game. So I really like Eastern Michigan here on a money line at home.
Yeah, you got me sold, and I agree with you. And I was on Buffalo on the money line last week, and it was the wild comeback. We sort of wrote it off. But great point that you bring up as far as getting to be bowl eligible, which they did last week. Meanwhile, you've got Eastern Michigan here knocking on the door of bowl eligibility, and their last game, Joey, won't be easy for them going to Western Michigan, right? So this is their last home game. This is their crack to do it. Buffalo going on the road, and I like your number as far as 2-6 off the home game that they were. I'm going to roll with Eastern Michigan. Give me the Eagles tomorrow night, Cam, as well, over the visiting Buffalo Bulls. I agree
Makes
with
sense.
Joey.
Yeah, it makes sense. But Eastern Michigan is one of those teams that just find a way. Buffalo, that was a crazy game. I remember you were on it, Gabe. I got to give the Buffalo Bulls a lot of credit. They were getting smashed in that game, and they came back and won. But, Eastern Michigan, I lean that way as well.
Nobody's ever gotten rich, guys, betting on the Buffalo Bulls in back-to-back weeks off a win.
That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's one of those. It's like, it's like robbing the same bank twice. Like, all right, we got away with it, but I bet on Buffalo last week because kind of the same spot, Joey. The bowl eligibility, playing at home. I knew that they were they really were dialed in and desperate. It'll be the same thing tomorrow night. Eastern Michigan are dialed in for this football game to nail that down. Any interest at all in the Ohio and the Toledo game?
Yeah, I'm rocking with the home team again there with Toledo money line. They won 3 out of 4 games, and this is a must-win spot for them here against the top dogs in the MAC. Ohio's won 3 in a row, however, but they've really had issues on the road against 500 or better teams, going 2-3 straight up. Ohio's allowing just 200 yards per game, but I really think you're going to be tested here with this strong Toledo offense. Toledo's 8-3 straight up in the second half of the season, dating back to last year, kind of just showing. Second half season comes, they just get stronger. And Ohio is just 3-4 straight up on the road with a total between 42 and 49. So in these in these kind of medium range totals, we see this Ohio team struggle. So I really think Toledo can get this one at home.
Toledo, very good home team at the Glass Bowl there. 4-1 straight up on their home field, 3-2 on the road. And you look at Ohio, robust 5-0 on their home field, 2-3. And this is one of these rivalries, too, in the MAC. A lot of the trends will repeat themselves, right? Like sort of certain teams will beat the other team. And we have this, Vancouver came really close to just scoring, but New York broke up the pass in the slot. In a hockey game, second period has started, Rangers and Canucks right now. But I do agree with you once again, Joey. Good calls, I believe, in the MAC here. Listen, both these teams are 7-3, as you stated. This is a heavyweight matchup in the MAC. They're still battling for first place in the conference, still up in the air here. But as I was saying, guys, Toledo have won 4 of the last 6 games that they played. They've won the last 2. They won 17-7 and 35-23. But I like Toledo on their home field as well. All right, we're coming up against the break, I believe. We'll get into some maybe some NFL on the other side and see if Joey likes anything else in college. Yep, and the college football rankings came out tonight. So like I said earlier, I don't want to get all up in arms about it and rage about it, but we'll get you caught up to date with it at least and what the hypothetical matchups will be right now. Pretty wild, though. One thing, Boise State have gone from, like, maybe they get in to actually having a bye week in the updated standings right now. Boise State are the 4 seed.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the 2 big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you pinching your own cheek. As I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. Sirius XM channel 159 of the SportsGrid Radio and Television Network. So it's 2-2 right now in Vancouver, 4 minutes into the second period. College football playoff rankings. The Oregon Ducks are still the number 1 ranked team in the country, and rightfully so. They would be the 1 seed. If the playoffs started right now, they'd be the 1 seed. Texas would be the 2 seed, which is kind of insane. I don't think people... Texas are kind of fraudulent. Let's call it out for what it is, but they got a big game coming up with Texas A&M Miami, even though they lost, weren't affected by it, and that's the problem with the college football playoff rankings. So Miami are the 3 seed right now. I think the surprise is Boise State have actually not just crashed the party, but Boise State would actually have a bye and be the 4 seed right now. BYU, the 12 seed, even though they lost, they're still like in control of the Big 12. But the Colorado Buffaloes have moved into the 16 hole and control their own destiny. Although that's going to be a tough game for them against Kansas. Kansas have gotten hot over the last couple of weeks. So potentially, this is as it is now the first round. BYU at Ohio State, Alabama at Notre Dame, Georgia at Joey Tran's Penn State Nittany Lions, and Ole Miss at Indiana. And, of course, Indiana play Ohio State this weekend. Joey, I'm sort of trying to look at the futures here and looking at teams who I actually think are legit. Like, all right, who's actually really good? And I think Oregon actually are really good. I don't buy into Miami. I don't fully buy into Texas, although Texas can beat anybody, but they can lose to anybody. Boise State are dangerous, but not as talented as the other teams. If I'm looking at this, like, maybe I'm dismissing Ole Miss a little bit, but if I had to, I'll give you 2 teams to pick here, Joey. Who do you think are the 2 teams, the future, like, all right, if you got to bet college football playoff futures right now, who would you take?
All right, honestly, I know they're on the outside looking in, but I'm going Colorado. I really think Colorado has a really good shot. Their offense is really strong right now, and when it comes to, in my opinion, college football, defense is important, but with the playoffs, you really need to score, especially with some of these SEC teams. I really like Colorado, and this is biased. I've had this since the beginning of the season, but Penn State, I love the Penn State defense. They're really starting to wake up, and honestly, whether they're home, whether they're away, they're just so explosive on a defensive line, and it really is a huge threat for anyone they're playing.
So Penn State right now are 20-1. I like where you're going with Colorado. I've been on the Buff bandwagon like all year pretty much. When everybody gave up on them early, they got smashed by Nebraska. I sort of saw the turning point in the Colorado State game. They're extremely well coached. Their D-line has come together. As you stated, they got star power. Shedeur Sanders like a point guard back there. They're getting better every week. This is a tough game for them against Kansas this week, though. But 50-1 for the Colorado Buffaloes, who do control their own destiny. And I personally do believe, too, Joey and Cam, I think, Joey, that Colorado would beat BYU in a Big 12 championship game.
Well,
right?
Gabe,
So they get there. I think they can do it. But
Arizona State, they're
that's true, too.
Week. They're dogs.
Yeah, Arizona State are dangerous, but so are the Kansas Jayhawks as well. Like, so, Kansas knocking off Iowa State, knocking off BYU. Ohio State, I know Ohio State are great, but I think they're always pumped up here by the committee and everybody. But Ohio State are plus 320. They're actually the favorites to win the championship. The Ducks are plus 450. Texas are 5-1. Georgia's 5-1. Bama's 8-1. I think Ole Miss, I was slow to come around on them, but at 10-1, I don't think that's crazy. They can play with anybody in the country. But let me ask you, Joey, because before it was Notre Dame at Penn State, right? So these things are changing on a weekly basis. I mean, let's just be, and I'm a Michigan fan, and I would honestly say I would rather have to play Notre Dame than have to play Georgia. Don't you agree with that? Wouldn't you rather if it's Notre Dame at Penn State instead of Georgia?
I mean, I personally think Notre Dame is one of the biggest frauds in the football playoff right now. That might be an unpopular opinion. I do. I mean, I understand they've run the table since they lost to Northern Illinois, but come on. If you're going to really judge some of these teams like Tennessee who have certain losses, how are you not going to judge Notre Dame?
Look at their schedule, guys. Like, Notre Dame plays cream puffs. Like they're playing Virginia. They're playing, you know what I mean, Gabe? Like, you look at them, like their schedule. They got to win a big game. Win a big game against a great team.
Well, they did beat Texas A&M. That's what balances out. That's their one, right? They beat Texas A&M to start the season.
Good call. But other than that, look at these other teams have to play. Like they go through like.
Oh, I'm not disputing it. Yeah. No, but it's the same. It's like Indiana. I saw what Indiana's strength of schedule is 105th. Right. So they're, they could, but the thing with them, they're not really fraudulent. Like Indiana really do murder teams. So we'll see. What do you think, Joey, about some of the big games this week? We have Indiana and Columbus. It's up to 13.5 right now. Guys, let's not dismiss SMU. SMU are a team. They're still lingering around the playoffs here right now as well. They get the Virginia Cavaliers this week. They're laying 9.5. Penn State, your Penn State Nittany Lions, 12.5-point favorites at Minnesota. ASU, 3-point favorites at home against visiting BYU. Colorado, 2.5-point road favorites in Kansas. And we got that Notre Dame game at Yankee Stadium, guys, for the record. That game's at Yankee Stadium this week. Army and Notre Dame. Undefeated Army. We saw Joey Notre Dame smash the Navy. What do you think about this one? Can Army play with Notre Dame?
I don't think so. Unfortunately, again, I know I just bashed Notre Dame, but I don't think Army can hang with them. I think Notre Dame's going to do similar to what they did with Navy. These academy programs are very one-dimensional. Everyone thought Navy was going to do something crazy against this Notre Dame defense, and they got squandered. And unfortunately, I think we're going to see the same thing. The number is about the same. I'm almost positive Navy closed at like 12 or 13. Right now, it's at 14.5, so it's roughly in that 2-touchdown area. I think they're just taking money on Army, and Notre Dame's going to roll them.
Yeah, you're right. They've shown an ability. Like a lot of the programs have a hard time. No, we don't see this a lot and stuff. But Notre Dame play the military teams every year. Alabama guys in Oklahoma. You know what? This game sort of reminds me of the Texas-Arkansas game last week, in which I took Arkansas and they ended up covering the number barely, but they did. You know, Oklahoma haven't had a great year, but they're one win away from bowl eligibility, the Sooners. And you know what? You can erase a lot of bad memories with a big Saturday night win against the visiting Alabama Crimson Tide, right? So that's an intriguing one right there. And they're getting pretty much 2 touchdowns, 13.5 right now. All right, we'll hit the NFL with Joey on the other side, and we got Rick Saratella stepping up and in. Let's roll.
Together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the 2 big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, it's going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid, Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Quarterly, I missed you pinching your own cheek as I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The New York Rangers have just taken a 3-2 lead in Vancouver, 11 minutes left in the second period of play. They're out shooting them. The goal was Kako. They're out shooting them 20-11 so far. So it's been pretty one-sided tonight. Vancouver once again struggling on their home ice for whatever reason, although they are without Besser and they are without JT Miller this evening. Yet, whatever, it's 3-2. They've been down. They were up 1-0, then it was 1-1, then they were down 2-1, and then it was 2-2. So in this game, both teams have responded pretty quickly after the other team has scored. We'll see if Vancouver responds, but this doesn't help our in-game total under 6.5. But hey, it is what it is. It's a cold world. All right, we'll look at a couple of minutes with Joey here. So Joey's in Indianapolis, but he's not a Colt fan. Even worse, we were just talking about the Titans being off to one of the worst historical starts ever at 1-9. Joey, it's the worst start ATS since 2007. Hard to believe. 2007 in the NFL, the Titans 1-9, and as crazy as it sounds, I've known they're terrible. I faded them quite a bit this year. For whatever reason, I got cute, and I thought that they were a nice pick against the Vikings this week. And then when they scored the touchdown to cut the lead to 3 pretty late, I was like, all right, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to look pretty smart doing this. And then, boom, that lasted like 30. Minnesota scored right away after, and then it was done. It was a little frustrating. So what are your thoughts? We'll ask you about the game in your backyard. The Indianapolis Colts are getting 7.5 against the Detroit Lions. The total is 50.5, and your Titans are getting 8.5 this week in H-Town. Total 41.
Yeah, so looking at the Colts game, I wouldn't really pick a side there. Are the Lions going to put up the same numbers they did last week? Who knows? Is it a letdown spot? I don't know. But one thing I do know is the Colts really struggle at home, and they really can't win at home. So with that said, I'm looking at the over in that spot. I think the Colts will definitely need to put up some points, and we know the Lions are an offensive juggernaut. Nothing's going to stop them defensively. So in this one, the Colts definitely need to pick up the pace. So with that, I really lean towards taking the over in the Colts and the Lions game. And for the Titans and the Texans, just lay it with the Texans. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who's hurt for them. The Titans just can't do anything. Offensively, defensively, just when you think something's going good, like you said, it just goes the other way. This is bad news bears for Tennessee. They're tanking. We should know strangers. I'm ready
Houston
for it.
by 8. Aren't they? Isn't Tennessee getting 8.5 now? The computer would lose by the hook. Yeah.
Yep, 8.5.
That's right.
They're 1-9, Cam, against the spread. 1-9. What was the game they covered? Who do they beat?
I bet. Miami. I remember
the Miami Dolphins, huh?
We were on Monday Night Football, Tennessee money line. I remember that. Was
that's right. It was. Yeah. The Monday night.
I was on that game too.
And Will Levis got hurt. Yeah, and
right.
Mason Rudolph came in. That's why they won.
There we go. Yeah, more Rudolph.
Yeah, that's why they won.
Say something that Mason Rudolph is your only saving grace to give you an against the spread win this season. Mason Rudolph.
It's a problem.
Wild. So, like you said, you got the Shedeur Sanders. I was talking about it earlier. Shedeur Sanders plus 200 to be the top pick in the draft, Joey. Travis Hunter's the second choice. We'll see, right? Will teams trade up, or will they just sort of stand pat and hope for the best after? But the thing with Sanders, and you know this, is he might, you're talking about a guy that might tell people, don't draft me. You know what I'm saying? He might do that. He might tell certain teams, you know what, I'm not going to do this. For whatever it's worth, and I don't pretend to know Deion Sanders, but I've heard that they don't mind Tennessee, actually, that they're not opposed to the Tennessee Titans. But he also tweets out, God is great after every Raiders loss. He wants to be a Raider. And then we got the news today that Michael Irvin said, if Deion would take the Cowboys job, but only if Shedeur Sanders was the quarterback. So they've got Dak Prescott, right? So that's the thing, man. Like Deion said today too, he'll be back in Colorado. There's a lot of stuff going on with Deion right now. But what about? Let's say it's not Shedeur, Joey. How do you feel about Cam Ward? I don't think Cam Ward's an upgrade to Will Levis, bro.
Yes, I think he's an upgrade. But my issue is like, how many quarterbacks are you going to go through until you just say, you know what, some of these guys out of college just aren't it. Let's just go free agency.
Yeah,
let's
sign one. Yeah.
What was Tennessee's last great quarterback? Steve McNair?
Yeah. I mean,
Tannehill was okay. Tannehill was okay.
The locker was horrible. He didn't. The Washington quarterback game. Like they've gone through
John,
some bad luck.
Where can people find you online, Joe? We got about 20 seconds here.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at bettingunderdog. You can find me on sportscapping.com, pickadvisor.com, pickdogs.com. You can find me all over the place.
Hey, great stuff, Joey. We'll definitely do it again. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Rick Saratella next. Bring it.
together, both Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the two big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you. You picked your own cheek? As I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma will do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The Twisted Tuesday continues. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. We continue to pick up the pieces following an epic weekend of football, including Grey Cup 111. Our guy, Rick Saratella, of course, a scout with the Edmonton Elks, All Access Football, the founder of the NFL Draft Bible, attended his first ever Grey Cup over the weekend in Vancouver. And, Rick, it was a great time seeing you. It was a great time seeing everybody over at the Red Card Sports Bar as well. And as I told you, the Grey Cup is just one big week-long festival party of people from not only around Canada, but as we saw, people from around the world, right? People come from all over the place, hardcore CFL fans. There's a hashtag out there, CFL family, but it really is true. Like, you don't really have an NFL family, but you see what a family the CFL league and fan base really are.
Yeah, and you know what? The new commissioner, that should be like a motto or a league brand. CFL is one, United as one, because all the fans, like you said, from all over the globe, it seemed like they all wandered down on the Red Card Sports Bar in Vancouver, where, by the way, Gabriel Morency is just a living legend there, by the way. I mean, we got people coming out from the woodworks, from the crevices, the cracks all over. I mean, it was just unbelievable, though. I mean, the crowd, the fans, the atmosphere inside the stadium, outside the stadium. I mean, it was just a legendary weekend. I'll tell you what, that is something you never forget. And as a football fan, I wrote about it in the All Access Football newsletter. Like, are you really alive if you haven't attended an NFL Grey Cup? Like, seriously, if you're a football fan and you have not yet attended a Grey Cup, like, you're missing out.
You know what? It's a great point. And it reminded me of sort of like the Rose Bowl, to be honest. It has a very college feel to it in a way, but the atmosphere, and there's a lot of people there just to have fun, right? There's a lot of people there that aren't the fans of the teams, which is really unique, right? Like, the Super Bowl, you'll have people, there's the dudes, the old guys that have been to every Super Bowl, and there is a smaller sort of club. But you know what I'll say, Rick, and this is why the NFL draft is so cool, actually. As somebody that's been to a couple. I know the draft used to be a Radio City Music Hall, but like the modern drafts that they have, Rick, the outdoor festivals with 250,000 people and all that, that's sort of become like a fan fest, right? Like, fans don't go to the Super Bowl, bro. They'll go to Vegas for the weekend, but they don't go to the Super Bowl. Number one, it's expensive. They're not a fan of the team, etc. But they'll go to the draft. It's because you don't have to buy a ticket. It's free. You can just hang out, party, and fans are all represented from all over the place. So that, the draft is super cool. That's the one thing that the NFL sort of has for it. These drafts really are fun, guys. Same thing. If you're a football fan, get out to an NFL draft. You'll have a great time meeting fans from all over the league, and players are there, and you just party and bands. It's a great time. But the CFL, very, very similar. Rick, it even crossed my mind. I was like, man, it's Winnipeg and it's Toronto, not my teams, and it doesn't matter. The games are great, and I got to tell you, I wasn't thinking like a couple of weeks ago I got to go to Winnipeg next year, but I pretty much have to go to Winnipeg next year. Especially our boy Hustler is a big host down there. Like, it's going to be a big deal in Winnipeg. They love the CFL in Winnipeg.
A new tradition has been born, and SportsRage, RIC, we'll be out there. Buckle up, book your tickets now. By the way, we haven't spoken about the game. How about Nick Arbuckle? We talked about bringing that big Nick energy, man. It wasn't pretty, but
just like Nick Foles, amazing. A backup named Nick comes in and gets it done again. You call it,
and almost in a Trent Dilfer-esque performance, right? Wasn't always pretty. Got his team into the fourth quarter with a lead. I mean, it was 17-13 going fourth quarter. We didn't know which way that game was going to go. And then the Argos defense, I mean, they just kicked it up a notch. But Arbuckle kept them in the game, gave them a shot, then the defense took over.
And Arbuckle did get better as the game went on, too. Like, you could tell earlier in the game, Dinwiddie wanted to keep everything very simple and not take too many chances. But as the game went on and we were saying, all right, you've got to let him start to throw the football down the field a little bit to give him some confidence. And they did, and he started throwing bullets. He started throwing darts. Man, the Argos are just a great big game team. This is what they do. This is what they do. The regular seasons are almost just irrelevant for them. If they get into the playoffs and the championship game, they're a load to deal with. So that was a ton of fun. And the Buffalo Bills, it was great watching the NFL games, too. It was a great day of football. And it wasn't such a great day for Joe Douglas, though, of the New York Jets. They lose to the Indianapolis Colts. Does this surprise you, Rick, that they didn't wait to the end of the season? Are you surprised that they pulled the trigger now?
Well, we talked about it when they fired Robert Saleh. Woody Johnson is a man of desperation, and he fired the head coach, didn't get the results he expected, so now he's pulling the trigger, making another panic move. Says, hey, Phil Savage is in the building. He's a former GM. We'll just make him the GM. We'll look for another GM, but in the meantime, we'll have a GM that's an intern make our decisions for us. I mean, what a disarray, what a mess, what a disaster. I mean, we talked about this. Adam Gase brought in Joe Douglas. Then Adam Gase got fired. Joe Douglas stayed. Woody Johnson hired Robert Saleh. So Joe Douglas was just a sitting lame duck to begin with. I mean, nobody even brought him into this situation. Everybody that wanted this guy, nobody was even left in the facility. So he was the next scapegoat to come. And look, let's be honest. I mean, like, you got a new GM, new head coach. You're really going to bring back Aaron Rodgers with a new regime?
Yeah, I was going to say this, Rick. How do you can't get a GM and force a 40-year-old quarterback on him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, guys going to say, no, I'll be the GM. Number one, it's a train wreck there. But number two, it's like, I'm not coming in. Aaron Rodgers, we all know Aaron Rodgers running your team. So in other words, since Rodgers been here, he's got the coach fired and the GM fired. Let's just call it out for what it is.
Well, I
know he didn't. I know there's already reports he had nothing to do with it. I don't think he did. I don't think he went and said, oh, Douglas got to go. But the fact of the matter is, since he's, here we are right now, and it's not like they're good. It's not like, they're making these decisions for the good. And now what do you make of this, Rip? Because Rodgers has pretty much said, yeah, I'm not done. Like, I don't want to retire. I'm going to come back next year.
Yeah, well, he's living over here in Cedar Grove, New Jersey by my cousin. Maybe I'll get that Thanksgiving invite. We could talk about who he's going to hire for the next GM. I'm sure he's going to be having.
I wouldn't hold my breath if I was you. But
I'm sure he's going to.
But that's what I'm saying. So what? You're going to give him the keys and say, "Okay, Aaron, what do you think now?" Come on, man. I mean, they want to keep on digging a deeper hole. That's all they're doing right now.
Well, also, isn't Woody Johnson up for a
position? He's leaving for Europe again or whatever. He's the ambassador to Ireland or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah. I mean, the Jets, the Giants. I mean, draw a straw. I mean, you can't write a worse script than these two teams.
And, exactly. It's not like people, I'm not going to say they can't hire anybody, but you're not going to get the top of the top guys. They're going to want to be involved with these organizations. We're hearing that Bill Belichick, this is going to be the rumor time of the year right now, Rick, but Bill Belichick does like the Jacksonville situation. He's going to be coaching next year. You and I have talked about it. I've been talking about it a lot. I've thrown it out there. I threw the Saints out there just if the Giants don't do it. And, I don't think the Cowboys will. I don't think I doubt Belichick ends up with the Cowboys. So I was sort of thinking, I think Belichick will almost not take any job, but kind of, he wants back in the NFL. He does. Yeah. So, and, what about Belichick to Jacksonville? Can he turn that thing around? They actually do have talent on that team. I don't understand how they got so bad, to be honest.
That might be a good fit because that's a team that not a lot of head coaches are going to want to take. I think Bill Belichick's going on 74. So beggars can't be choosers.
And
here.
He's the type of guy, too, exactly. He can, exactly. And he's the type of guy that the Cons like, right? He's a name guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. Name brand guy. The Cons could care less about football. They'll sell some tickets and go play 3 games overseas.
And don't forget, use the stadium for a wrestling facility, right? Like it's just sort of an entertainment company that they have. Yeah,
but I could see, it's really interesting the way Robert Kraft stabbed him in the back with that Falcons gig last year, and then try to clean that up. But I mean, Belichick was a finalist for that Falcons job, and Kraft picked up the phone and dialed up Arthur Blank and.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the 2 big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Totally, I missed you. Picked your own cheek? Because I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma would do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The Twisted Tuesday continues. This is Sports Rage. I am Morency. We're kicking it with Rick Saratel. Had a great time with Rick over the weekend. Hope to see Rick shortly. Stay tuned. We might have a couple of announcements coming up, but we're definitely going to go to the Grey Cup next year. And we're talking about the NFL right now. We'll see about the Super Bowl. We've been at the last 4 Super Bowl media rows. The season's just flying by right now. We're already into the rumor mill as far as the coaches are concerned. And one of the hottest names in all of football right now is Deion Sanders. And obviously, I mean, what he's done with Colorado is amazing. His son right now is the favorite to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, and Travis Hunter. I've never seen anything like this, actually, Rick, where 2 players, bro, 2 players from one team are the top 2 favorites to be the number 1 pick of the draft. It's amazing. Like, so Shedeur Sanders right now is the favorite at plus 200, and Travis Hunter is right behind him at plus 320. Cam Ward is 7-1 right now. Your boy Jackson Dart is 16-1. Jalen Milroe 22-1 right now. But as far as Dion is concerned, my gut, and you know what? It's one of the rare instances that I'm not going to pretend, I have inside sources with everything, but I actually do know a few people around this and around the Buffaloes. I know the former captain of their team. He's going to come on the show actually later in the week. And the buzz in Boulder is that Dion's going to come back next year. Like the Dion, listen, he's not in a rush to go to the NFL. If he does, it has to be the perfect spot, i.e. with his son. So Michael Irvin, who obviously is hanging around with Dion every week, said, I know from top sources, and he kind of grinned, and he told Coward, top, as good as sources as it gets, that Dion would take the Dallas Cowboy job if they had Shedeur Sanders. But that's a lot of if, ends, and buts, Rick, because they're not going to get him. I know they're bad. They got to keep losing every week, and I would just tank out if I was the Cowboys to get a higher pick. But they got Dak Prescott, bro. So, but Shedeur's the favorite to be the number 1 pick, but the Jags have the top pick of the draft right now, and they're stuck with Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, but, the Cowboys are 1 win behind those Jaguars, and Cooper Rush is going to be starting here for the next several weeks. So at what point are the Cowboys just out of the mix? It doesn't even make sense to bring back Dak Prescott.
The only game the Cowboys might be able to win. I mean, they played the Giants on Thanksgiving. They could actually lose out the Cowboys. They play the Panthers too, Rick. Looking at the Cowboys' schedule, we talked about it last night. The Panthers and Giants are kind of the only 2 games that they kind of have a chance in, and they could lose those games too.
They could very well wind up with Shedeur Sanders. It's possible, but my question is, what exactly is Deion Sanders going to do as an NFL head coach? Like, I don't get it. Like, we just talked about it. He doesn't even wear the headsets. So in college, at least he's recruiting. He's a name. He goes into the living rooms. The parents get giddy. He recruits NFL head coaches to be his coordinators. Like, what is Deion going to do as an NFL head coach? I mean, I guess he's just going to be a Herm Edwards motivating kind of presence, but I just don't know, like, how much of an impact. Like, he goes to Florida State, he's going to take that team to the top. He goes to the NFL, I just don't know how much of an impact Deion Sanders has as a head coach.
And that's why he has to be careful where he goes and what he does. It's still early. And listen, he's working. He's got the Lewis kid to flip from USC as well, so he's got a big-time quarterback. I think he wants to show, too. He likes Boulder. He's the kingpin there. He's you know what I mean? He couldn't get any bigger. There's not a lot of pressure on him there. Everyone loves him. And I think he sort of wants to show, too, Rick, that he can coach in college without his son, too, a little bit. I know he loves his kid, but you know what I'm saying? Like, there's unfinished business. Like, I don't think he's flipping, and they're not firing Norvell and FSU right now, although it's a perfect fit, obviously. They're on the hook for a ton of money. Just randomly, bro. How about Brian Kelly and this thing imploding there at Baton Rouge right now, Rick? Man, he makes a lot of money to lose a lot of games, that guy, man. Man, I wish I had his deal. Hey, pay me $180 million, $140 million deals. I'll go 6-6.
He's gonna have to go back to like the Cincinnati ranks and go learn a new accent.
I was thinking that. I was thinking that too. I'm like, hey, bro, you go back to the MAC or something and be a bully again because this ain't working at the top of the top.
Go relearn that Ohio accent.
He's such a phony. He wants the Michigan job, which I'll just die if that happens. Like I'm like, no. He's always wanted it, and I don't want no.
It's fascinating though. Like when you look at the college football rankings this year compared to just a year ago, I mean the whole powerhouse, the quote unquote powerhouse,
it's flipped.
Yeah.
You know what's crazy? Really good. Look at Washington. Washington and Michigan were in the championship game last year. They got to combine like 11 losses this year. It's never happened before.
It's really an interesting dynamic. You know, the departures of Saban and Harbaugh had a lot to do with it. But, I mean, you take a look at some of the teams that are hanging around and, my gosh. And for whatever it's
and even
worth,
good teams, George, even good teams right now, Rick, even good teams are they're on the fence. Like Georgia are 1 win away from their season imploding, Rick. I know they win, but they got 2 losses, bro. Like there's a lot of teams, good big programs, that it could be on the outside looking in when it's all said and done.
And that's why a team like Colorado, to me, is right there for a prime seed. I mean, Colorado, to me, they're already in the top 5 for me in my college football poll. I don't know what the rest of the world is looking at, but
big game against Kansas. Kansas are like getting hot suddenly late here.
Yeah.
Yep, they knock off Iowa State. They knock off BYU. Now it's Colorado. This is a tough game for Colorado. So what do you think right now about Travis Hunter? Like I said, I think legitimately, who would you, if you had a Heisman vote, who would you vote for? Travis Hunter?
Oh, it hasn't wavered at all. You know, when someone's averaging 124 snaps a game, okay, and you got 700 receiving yards, a bunch of interceptions. Oh, by the way, did I mention he returns kicks? Like, he doesn't come off the field. This guy plays every down. Offense, defense, special teams. He's out there returning kicks. Like, you know, I don't think he gets enough credit, to be quite frank. What he's done is
no, he doesn't. As crazy as it sounds, he doesn't. And I hear people sort of try to shoot it down a little bit. Oh, he's not a great DB. Saw someone the other day. Oh, everybody's going to get excited because he scored a garbage touchdown late. It wasn't a garbage touchdown. It helped ice the game. And if you saw it play, Rick, it was impossible. Like, I don't know how he got through. Like, there was a wall in front of him, and it was like a video game. Twist, turn, sideways, like, and he didn't even get touched. Like, the kid is special, bro. Like, look how and I love Charles Woodson, but look, Charles Woodson didn't play every play like this like he does.
No, you haven't seen this in about 75 years, and you might not see it for another 75 years. I mean, he's the Ohtani of football.
Together, both Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson had huge nights. Aaron Rodgers loves the 2 big targets, and he says if this is going to happen, going to be very tough on the defense to decide who they want to go after.
Adams and this kid Wilson, I won't deny what they can do, but nobody else does jack.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Grandma Bear, who owns the football team, probably comes in, gives a little, oh, man, you're such a good little boy out there. Congratulations, the way you coach this football team. I'm never going to fire you.
Quarterly, I missed you. Pinching your own cheek? As I was looking down and did not know we were getting.
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there with that guy named Ben. Like, that's what your grandma will do to you when you go see her on Thanksgiving or Christmas,
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Thanks to Rick Saratella for kicking to us. And once again, it was a great time hanging out with Rick and everybody this weekend in Vancouver. We look forward to next year, Winnipeg Grey Cup, although we'll be at other big events before that. We just need a couple of days to recover after the Great Canadian Bash that is the Grey Cup The Calgary Flames and the New York Islanders went to a shootout, and the Calgary Flames beat the New York Islanders in a shootout. The Islanders were 2-0 in shootouts this year. They seem to lose in overtime a lot, but so one thing with the Islanders, and I got a season point total over 91.5, they do get points in a lot of their games, even though they don't win. But it was a frustrating loss being on the Islanders. They had a 1-0 lead in the second period. Calgary comes back and wins the hockey game. 2-1 is the final score. And I'll give props to the Flames, man. Listen, they've won 10 hockey games this year. I didn't think no one thought they were going to be this good. And one of the reasons why they are this good is their goalie is this guy. Like, this guy's flying under their freaking radar.
Wolfie?
I'm telling you, Cam, this Dustin Wolf, yeah, man, they're winning games because of this guy. Like in the shootout, he just made big saves. I saw him in another shootout. He had a shutout, not a shutout. It was 3-1. He blew the shutout late, but like, dude, this guy's on fire. Like, this guy, like, when he starts, he's just, I think he's 7-2-1 now, Cam, on the season, this kid. He's got a save percentage at 9.21.
I did a hockey show. Yeah, I did a hockey show with a guy. I don't think he qualified for as much games. Is he in the Rookie of the Year competition? Like, already, like, we talk about, like, Vezina or whatever. I know, let's not get ahead of ourselves, but Dustin Wolf has been one of the biggest shockers, like, in the league. And that's the thing. Calgary, Markstrom was, like, not very good with them. And this guy, they said he was an amazing goalie, Gabe, in the minors, and he's lived up to it. Like, that's incredible, actually. I talked to a guy that, like, made a bet with him. I forgot to be, like, it was just a crazy, crazy bet. I'm like, you're betting on Dustin Wolf? Well, guy seems pretty smart right now. Gabe, that's incredible. He's a young guy, too. At Calgary, they're not known for their defense or goaltending, so he's doing a really good job. Good call.
Well, he's 23. He's another American from California, but he's 23. He played 17 games in the NHL last year. And this year, like I said, he's played 10. So he's kicked around. He's been in the AHL. He got drafted in 2014. He got drafted young, and he's been, kicking around the AHL for years. And, he's pretty good in the AHL. It's all about consistency. But, yeah, this guy's really, really playing good hockey for the Calgary Flames. He's been a reason why the Flames have won a lot of these close games that they have won. I just got pinched, and you know what? I got a bad number, too. I bet it earlier in the day, and this is what happens when I bet early. I bet Riverside and Santa Clara over 151. We saw the in-game right before it tipped off was 149.5. It was like minus 125 or 30 or something like that. But it still came down, and it ended up getting to 150. Santa Clara scored with a couple of seconds left to get it to 150, but I needed 151, so it was a double punch. We lost the Islanders in a shootout, and then we lost the basketball game by 1 point, the total. And now we're just down to the New York Rangers and the Vancouver Canucks. They're going into the third period of play. They're tied at 3. In-game total is 8.5. The Rangers are minus 135 right now. The Canucks are plus 105. A shorthanded Canucks team, plus 135. And NBA basketball, the NBA Cup warrior LA Lakers are up by 14 on the Utah Jazz, 68-54. In-game total 223.5. Lakers are laying 14.5. We had Joey Tron on earlier. We were talking about tomorrow's college football. Buffalo and Eastern Michigan. I will take the Eagles here. Give me Eastern Michigan on the money line, minus 110. The game's basically a pick 'em. And Ohio and Toledo is a tricky one, but I like Toledo at the Glass Bowl here as well. So give me both home teams tomorrow night. They're minus 120 on the money line. So those are my picks for tomorrow night. What do you got for us, Cam?
I think I'm going to take the over in the Michigan, or Eastern Michigan Buffalo game. As I mentioned before, do you know Buffalo's had 6 straight overs in a push, so almost 7. Like these guys, Gabe, their last game you were on 98 points. Like it's insanity. When they score, they give up. They score, they give up. So 51 looks a little bit light. I hope I'm not falling into a trap, but I like that total. And the other game I think might be not as much scoring. We'll see. I got to dig deeper into that game, but I don't really have a side in the Toledo-Ohio game. I don't like to get in front of Ohio. They're a very good football team, but I get it. Toledo at the Glass Bowl, short number, I understand, but probably over Eastern Michigan Buffalo.
Thursday night, of course, is the Cleveland and Pittsburgh. We'll be on at 8 o'clock, but Georgia Tech, NC State's the college football game on Thursday night. All right, we'll catch you on the Wicked Wednesday. Other than that, you're on your own. Later.